Good morning everyone and welcome to Darlene's Creative Studio. Today is day 27 of our Creative Journal Prompt Challenge, and today I'm going to be working with paper punches. I've pulled out all of the paper punches that I have brought with me, and I just wanted to show you some of the different punches that I have and that I use on a regular basis, and then we'll create a couple of little tags. And I have this prompt that I added later on that was attaching a tag with a brad. So I grabbed my little tiny brads here, and we're going to attach some of the tags together with some brads. But I'm going to do a couple of prompts today together, and then just like I say, I've pulled out all my paper punches and I'm just going to show you what each one does and some of the little projects that I do with them. So I'm just going to add our little prompts to our book, and then I will clear away everything and we'll get started. So let's add number 27. And it's really nice to see this little book filling up. So I'm just going to grab my glue here. And so the first prompt is digging out your paper punches. And these are, I find, a lot easier than the die cuts. The die cuts you can get a lot more, a variety of shapes. But the paper punches are really convenient. They're easy to use, so I really like some of the larger paper punches. And I will normally wait till they're on sale for 50% off, but you can get them on Amazon. Some of them are hard to find. I will actually put the links on to Amazon for some of the punches. I had to look them up last night, but I will put the links there if you're interested in using a couple or trying out a couple of the stamps or the punches. Get my words all mixed up today. Okay, so I'm going to add those tags into my book, and I will write the words on them a little bit later. And I'll keep my glue handy. So what I have, I have a variety here. I have this one that is called, it's from Dress My Craft, and you can find one very similar online, and I will put the link, I say, down below the video. But this one does 1.5 inches, a 2-inch, and a 2.5 inches. So when you get all those scraps, when you get those loads and loads and loads of scraps in your little bin, these are great when you just want to sit down one day and make a couple of quick tags or whatever. Now I don't know if this one will be perfect. It has to be trimmed just a little bit to make a 1.5. So all I do is get all my scraps out from my bin, and I trim them to the size that I need. So I need a 1.5 for this one. So I'm just going to cut it really quickly to 1.5. Most of the time I just make do with the size that is, but for this particular punch you need to have it the right size. And then it has these little grooves, so you can literally just slide that piece of scrap paper in there and punch it, and it'll come out with a nice little tag. And you can decide how long you want the tag by just chopping it off, and then you can continue to make a couple more. It does have, and I'll show you the 3 different tags that it makes. So there is the 1.5 inch, and it just makes the rounded tag. There is the 2-inch tag, and I use this one a lot, and I usually round out the corners on the ends. And then there's the 2.5-inch tag. And again, really great way to really quickly make up some tags with some really lovely tops to the tags. So there's that one. I'll set them there. And then my circle tag, of course, I use this one a lot. We did a project earlier with cutting out the circles and putting some stickers in to make a little window. And these are some of the pieces that I cut out of those tags when I was making those windows. So again, when you're using your punches and you're creating a tag, keep the little inserts that you cut out. So if I'm making that tag with the cutout and the window, keep the circles, because these make really lovely tags. And again, I'll show you something with those in a minute. So there's my 2-inch. I have put a link below for a very similar punch. I think it's a 2.5 inch, but it's the same. You just look for that. It's an EK tool, and I love being able to handle this one. This one I really enjoy. It's heavy, but I like it. This one I just recently found. I do have another one at home, a smaller one. I have a 1-inch square punch, and I use that 1-inch square punch with my postage stamp punch that I have. So the 1 inch will actually cut a piece of paper, a 1-inch square, and then I'll be able to use it. And these are some of the scraps that I have that I've just popped out of some of the scraps for that 1-inch square. And I was going to show you really quickly something that I can make to show you. Here, I'll use this one right here. This is where I use. So I'm just going to cut this down. I'll be right back. Alright, so I'm going to cut down to a 2-inch strip. So this is 2 inches wide. And all I do is take when I get these stamps, I always take that bottom piece off so that I can see that square, see the bottom, and I always turn them upside down so I can center them properly. Okay, so I want this one to be, let's say, I'll just take one of the cutouts. Let's try there. So I'm just going to make a couple little marks to kind of where I want it, so I can show you this example. Alright, so we want it about there and about there. So I'm just going to cut this guy out. Okay, so I'm going to save that square. But then I'm going to cut it off at about there. And we'll see what the width is for that. That is about there. So I'm going to save that piece. I'm just going to grab my ruler. It's about a 3-inch piece. And then, of course, I'm going to take my little corner rounder. I thought I had it here out already. I did, and I put it away. So then I'm going to just take my corner rounder and I'm going to round out those corners. And again, I like to flip them up so I can make sure I'm doing it correctly instead of getting a funny little punch. And then I've made myself a little photo frame just using that square punch. This is a 1.5-inch punch, I believe. Let me just double check again. Oops, upside down. Yeah, this is a 1.5-inch square, and I do have the 1 inch at home. And then this I can use to create a little photo. I've used one of my little magazine covers in there, and you can create like a little photo card of your own just by using that 1-inch square. And again, rounding out the corners, and I've got a little photo card. And then these are my little 1.5-inch squares that I keep. I'm going to use something for those. So let's move him out of the way. This is my oval punch, and I keep all of the things that I cut out with my oval punch, all my little scraps, but it also does a really nice thumb punch. If you only want to have, that's not a very good one to show you on because it'll, here, I'll make it a little pocket. This one makes a really lovely oval shaped thumb punch, so you can get at your, if you make a pocket and you want to get at, so I love the oval for that, and I love making the oval stamps, and I use these as tags on top of some of my cards, which I did yesterday, creating these little envelopes. So that's one of my oval punches cut out, and then I've just added paper on top of it. So again, save all your bits and pieces that you cut out because you can use them for something. All right, these can also be used when you want to create a little tuck spot in something. If you have an envelope that you want to close, you can glue that to the top of the envelope or the bottom of the envelope, and then when you pull the flap over, you can just catch it underneath one of these, so you can make like a little latch for yourself, or just glue it halfway down and create a little latch. So always save your little bits and pieces. And then some of the other ones that I just recently found, this is called a slot, and it's just that little circle, and I've showed you in one of the other videos, but I love this one for making, so these are some of my little 1.5-inch squares, and I've just punched some little slots in the tops of those, and then these can be tags that hang down from something else. So you can use a little tiny strip of paper, and you can create yourself a little band like that, a little holder. And then this can just hang down from another, I can create another little slot there, and then you can have like a little flappy part to your tag. Or you can have these hanging off of one of your books or whatever, but these make perfect little slots in the tops of your tags. So again, I save all those little bits and pieces. This is a stamp that I bought, and it came with some rubber stamps here. I think it was butterflies. Excuse me. And it has this, what they call a hang tag, a package hang tag. This is a pegboard hang tag because the pegboard stick kind of sits in that little groove. Now I would reuse this for some a card or something, but I wouldn't want the Bow Bunny flutter stamp, and I probably wouldn't want it this big. So I would probably cut this off, cut the logo off, and then probably cut it down to a better size. Let's say there. So I cut the top off, and then I just chop some of the side off, and then I would round out my corners. Now you can reuse this and collage over it, but if you want to make a quick journaling card and you really like the pattern that's there, to make it the same, and then you could make it into a hang tag using your punch. And this one has a little locking mechanism, and you open up that little top there and you just put it inside the card, and I normally just eyeball it, and it punches out that little hang tag. And this is great if you want to make some journaling cards or hang tag cards of your own. You can use this also to make tags for some of your journals, for hanging from your journals, your price tags and stuff like that. But that is called a hang tag punch. And this is a We Are Memory Keepers. And again, all of these punches I've looked up on Amazon, and I'll put a link below the video to show you some of the links so you can purchase your own. But that's just some of the punches that I use quite a bit, that are my favorites. Other than the postage stamp one, which I did not bring with me. I have a lot of postage stamp scraps cut out, and I just figured I didn't need to bring it with me. I'll work with what I have here. So again, you can use these stamps in so many ways. This is a scrap piece from a floral book that I had tea stained, and I had to cut the top off because I was using the top picture and I needed a very large picture. So normally, you know, I can't really use that piece because I've cut the top of the flower off, but if I took one of my punches and just put that in the punch and centered it to where I could probably get most of the flower and that little bug sitting on the plant and punch it, then at least I can reuse, not throw that piece away, and I can use it in something else. It can sit behind something else. Now obviously it's not going to sit behind this, but you could even insert it back into the little photo, make your own little photo frame. So there's so many different ways to use your scraps within your journaling and crafting. And I'm just going to round the corners on this little piece of scrap. And then I'm going to take this little photo frame and I'm going to put this, let me just move this stuff out of the way. I'm going to find my little punching board here. Just grab my punching board here and my little pick. And what I'm going to do is decide where I want this on this tag. And I think I'm going to move it down because I might put a little slot in the top there. So we can glue this on. There, make sure it's nice and even. Okay, and then I'm just going to take my hole punch here and I'm just going to punch right in the corners there. like that. And then I'm just going to take my little brads here, and I'm just going to poke one into each of the corners and open up the little feet on the back. And this is just a nice accessory to add to the corners of your photos. Some of those little tiny brads that you can get that aren't too expensive, but you can get like 100 or so in a package. And I like these little mini ones. These are great for the tags. So there you go. You can attach your layers with your tags, your little, sorry, I can't see very well in this light. There we go. So there we go. Sorry, there goes my dryer. And then I would just grab my slot punch, and I'm going to turn it up so I can see it. And I'm going to eyeball approximately the middle there. And you're just going to punch that out. And then you can grab a little scrap of paper, and I'm just going to grab this one as my demonstration purposes here. And you can have that hanging from something inside your journal, and they can flip it up and it can have writing paper on the back. You can cover up these little tails with some masking tape and then attach some writing paper onto the back. Ouch, that was my finger. Let me just grab my masking tape. I like to mask these out so that they don't get in the way or stick through your paper. And I like to cover up these little feet. That one's probably a little bit too small. Let's try this one. There we go. And that just protects it from them from coming through your paper when you cover the back piece. Like that. And then we would just grab a piece of paper. This, and you would cover it up. And I don't like the gray on that. I'll just grab a white one. Like that. Now you can cover it right up. Now I've made my masking tape too high because I don't want that to go as high as that. There we go. So there, I would put my paper like that. And again, I just use my pencil. Oops, just spilled my brads everywhere. I would just use my pencil and we'll cut that down. Like this. And then we would just round up the corners. Sorry, my husband's wandering around in the background here. So as of yesterday, the sun is shining and he wants to go out and enjoy the sunshine. So he's rushing me to get through these videos so I can go out and enjoy the sunshine. We've had a couple of cold and rainy days. So when the sun shines and it's nice, not quite warm enough yet, but when the sun's shining and it's nice, he likes to go sit out on a balcony and he drags me out there. So I brought lots of books to read. So there. So now I would glue that on there like that. Okay. And I like to hold it right where the brads are, and you like to push down on them so that it glues right where they are. You'll see them a little bit through the paper. There we go. And then we'll just distress the edges of our tag. And if I had a little scrap of this pattern paper, which I'm sure I do somewhere, I would just have to search for it. That's what I would use for the hang tag, for the little piece that I would put through the hang tag, just to kind of pull those pieces together. Like that. I would use this pattern paper as my little hang tag, or a darker one like that. And then I would just curl these little bits under to make, and that would, I would make another slot in the other tag, and then it would kind of hang from that. So let's grab my other, oops, wrong one. It's right in front of me. So it could kind of hang from this one. This would be glued down like that. So you can have it hanging from the bottom of another tag or from your page. But you could join the two like that. And that would be another, and then you could flip it up and write on it. So there is creating a tag, adding some brads, and showing you all the different variety of paper punches that I like to use. And again, these can be covered. You can grab a piece of journaling paper and put these on top of these cards and just cut out the circle and then trim it. So you put him in there and make sure it's straight and cut it out. And then these, you could trim it a little bit and then put it inside this circle. And all I do is run around the edge of my circle where I start. I normally make a little mark to where I start. And you just want to cut it 1/8 of an inch smaller. Now if you had another circle punch, by all means, you would just use the other circle punch. But I do not have one here. This is the only one I brought with me. And that's why it's nice to have maybe 2 different sizes. So if you buy the 2.5 inch punch and then the 2 inch punch, you could make the 2.5 as your background punch. And then you would just put that little guy in there. Distress your edges. Get your glue out. And you would glue this guy. They're upside down, so it doesn't matter. In the center of this one. And then you could take that tag, slot tag, you could either punch a hole in there like a normal hole punch, or you could use this one. And there you go. So if you want something that's a little different, you don't want to use the hole tag all the time, you can actually grab this little slot punch and use that as well. And it's a great way to attach your tags in a different way. So you can have that hanging down in front of another tag. Let's take that guy out of there. So this guy could be hanging, if this wasn't a photo one, if this was just a square tag, you could have that one hanging down in front of just your square tag. So you could do it from the back just to show you like that. And then you could lift that up and journal underneath. So there's so many different things that you could do with these tags. There's some more of those pictures that I cut out with my circle punch, and these were tea stained, and they were too small for me to use for the project I was using, and they were just scraps, so I cut them using my circle punch. And then you can use these in other projects as well. So that's just some of the different punches that I have and that I use a lot of. And like I say, I keep all my scraps, I keep all my little bits and pieces and reuse them in many different ways. So that can just get glued on to, say, another tag like this with that little guy underneath. And then you would glue that one on top. And that would be another tag. And if you wanted to, you could add the brads in the corner for decoration and just punch out your corners so that they all match. that. So there's another way of layering up some more tags. And then you can have something hanging from it on top of that. I really liked this little tag. It had the different variations on the back. These are some extra Christmas papers. So again, using up your scraps. Don't throw any of your scraps away. Use up, just sit there one night or one day and just go through all your scraps and use your paper punches and try and find ways of using them up without throwing them away. And there's one that was a funny shape, but I did get my square out of it. So there you go. Those are all my paper punches. I'll leave some links below of some of the punches that I own. You may be able to find them cheaper elsewhere, but I just wanted to show you that you can get them on Amazon and the costs of them. But again, I use them over and over and over again. So they really save me a lot of money, a lot of time. I love my die cut machine. I have a little Sizzix Sidekick and I use it a lot for all my little tiny die cuts. But having these handy is just really great. And this one I just absolutely love. And I love my little slot and my corner rounder. Thank you so much for watching. This was a really quick one today because I really want to get out to that sunshine. So hopefully we'll see you tomorrow, and we're really getting really close to the end of this, and I'll try and find a really good project for tomorrow. Thanks again. See you soon.